We are at Bolton Queen's Campus. We've just finished our first rehearsal for the new writing showcase. We've introduced the actors to the scripts that they're going to be reading from. We've been talking about the characters in each of the scenes, getting the actors more familiar with the parts that they're going to be playing. We're working with some really good actors and some really good pieces of writing, which have all been submitted to the showcase and written by students.
Interestingly, not just from creative writing students for whom this is their passion, but also other students who have just explored writing and have submitted extracts or poems or scenes. We should all be very proud of the quality of the writing. So that's the first thing I'd want to say.
It was so stimulating to then be able to talk to the writer as well and say, oh, how would you like this character to be performed?
The door is red. Why is the door red? Yeah, you can talk to the playwright go, the door was red because it was convenient to be red. It was good working with people who were living playwrights.
I'm usually a performer, so learning how to direct other performers was quite different for me. They are all first year theatre students. It's a really good collaboration of all the talent that we have. It gives the first years an idea of the work that the university does together.
I can tell that she hasn't done any sort of directing. No. Me neither.
Working with Chuck was really good. I think she's very knowledgeable.
She made us feel quite at ease, and it wasn't such a big, scary process. Definitely.
It was handy to look at it from a performer's perspective because I will know how they're feeling.
And she's like, oh, why don't you try like this? Why don't you try like that? Do you have like a one-to-one with you
Yeah,
as well?
stuff like that really helps the relationship between them.
She obviously had a wide understanding of every script.
Oh, ambitious.
So yeah, it's a good start and I'm looking forward to carrying on.
So for the new writing showcase 2018, we got together. Initially it was a team of 4 and then also working alongside the Bolton review team.
The thing about being an editor of the review is that it's kind of passed down like a horror story from the previous editors. You're told really before you sign up for the job that it's going to be really hectic, you're not going to sleep, and you're basically going to hate it before you're even done. It's the official launch of the review, so it'll be officially on sale from now on. Because it is the new writing showcase, it's a way to further show the sort of writing that is at Bolton as a whole. I've never done anything like this before.
We've worked with a fantastic team. We've all collaborated together. We've had a lot of difficulties in the beginning, which we did iron out. The submissions process was, to be honest, a nightmare.
Submissions in the initial stages was fine for me. All I had to do was sort them in folders where they had the author's name and didn't, and then just send them off to the relevant sub-editors. And then they gave me feedback. It wasn't too bad for me. I feel more bad for the sub-editors who actually had to really thoroughly read all the submissions.
Now that I've ended up being part of the showcase, it's actually exceeded expectations. I've really enjoyed it.
I've learned a lot about myself and how I function in a working environment and how to efficiently problem solve on a team that I feel like I can bring forth outside of uni.
It's all coming together, very exciting. I am excited about being part of hosting the evening. I'm feeling a little bit nervous, confident in my own ability, and I do think that we will bring a good showcase together on Thursday.
We had the dress rehearsal the day before with Professor David Thacker, which helped.
My first rehearsal session was with writers who were reading their own work, and I began by just sharing with them something from my past, which was Ted Hughes, the wonderful poet, invited me once to work with him on recording of some of his poems. So I said to him, I can't possibly direct you on how to read your own poems. I found that my function was twofold, really. It was one, to help him to use what I would call his real voice, his authentic voice, so that he wasn't doing a poetry voice, and secondly, to make sure that his very complex poems were clear. Now, I explained this to the writers and said, that's all I would be doing, really. It could be encapsulated in the notion of serving the writer, making sure the writer's work is really well expressed. The writer themselves might not have realized that if they wanted something to be made clear, they would need to make the thought processes very clear. So my main task was to make sure that the thought processes underlying the written word were clear. Then normally the audience will understand what's being read.
He helped with the way that I performed, the way that I looked to the audience, the way that I pronounced certain words to give them a bit more of an impact.
He's also very good at figuring out exactly what individual performers need.
Then there were some technical things like helping them to be able to make sure they could be heard.
He would like stand at the back and he'd be like, right, shout it line.
Make that really crystal clear. One's in present, one's pregnant, and the other can't even write his name.
He'd even ask us questions to see if we related to him like a little bit. He was asking me, like, have you ever stolen?
Have you ever stolen anything? No, of course not.
I'm an angel. Well.
It makes you think about the characters outside of your script, which really helps you in a piece. What would they do in a different situation? How would they handle a different topic?
It makes the characters a lot more real.
And it really helped manage to then portray our character even though we had the script in our hand.
To communicate to an audience and not just retreat as they were reading it. That takes some confidence, it takes a little bit of experience.
Connect more with the audience. No, connect with me.
Yeah, because you're moving like, I don't feel like you're connecting with me. I'm like, I am, David! I am connecting with you! Sorry.
I've been trying.
Yeah, but it makes you think, why is he not believing me? Right, okay, change this.
His input was invaluable.
Watching David Thacker in the rehearsal was quite...
Even the short time he had with the actors, the progress that was made in the rehearsal was fantastic.
Yeah, we are hopeful signs, even in Bolton. So it's actually quite a positive, optimistic thing you want me to. I love Bolton. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have been here for so long. I feel a great privilege to have been here for getting on for 10 years now, and it's been very enriching for me. Just making sure there is hope in Bolton, because I'm beginning to wonder. Can there be? Eddie, show it to me. So sometimes you feel it's hard to find hope, even in Bolton.
We did have a couple of really tough weeks, but I think we do have a strong team, and through that we've managed to get through. And hopefully tonight it'll all come to fruition.
Honestly, I feel just kind of ready for it to be over. That sounds really sad because I'm excited to see the performances, but I'm also excited for 9 o'clock to hit and to go home and just sleep.
I'm a little bit worried just in case I do forget any lines, but I'm sure it'll be fine on the night. I hope the ticket sales are pushed. It'll be lovely to see a packed audience, which I think with the talent on show, he deserves a packed audience. And I just hope on the night that everything does come together well. If we do have a little hiccups on the night, hopefully they will be ironed out, but we'll have to wait and see. I hope you all have a wonderful evening and you go away from tonight realising that the creative students from Bolton are some serious talent. Sit back, relax and enjoy the show. I'm now going to pass you over to the editor of the Bolton Review, Blair.
Unveiling the review was probably the most nerve-wracking thing in the entire evening. I haven't stood up on a stage emceeing since I was 10 years old at the school talent fair. The moment that I have very much been waiting for, and I hope that you have all been waiting for too, the reveal of issue 6 of the Bolton Review. It was also quite an honor because we worked hard on it, and so it was quite nice to be this is a physical thing in which I put a lot of work into, so it was really cool.
See, I dived in before I heard the voices. I saw them there on the rock, and I won't pretend I hadn't seen their long hair, good hair. and after a few strokes...
I was slightly nervous before I got onto stage, especially performing my own pieces, but once I got into the flow of the event, my confidence soared.
Switch to snooze for 10 more, but you can't turn off heartbreak. The ticking clock comes out on top, one-sided argument.
I think I was a little bit nervous on the night just because I didn't want to mess up. My favourite piece that I performed was a poem written by Shannon Raftery, and it was just the thought process you go through when you're trying to write an essay.
So here it is, the finished piece, but now the thoughts won't seem to cease. And it may sound weird, but trust me here, you can't have a poem about verbal diarrhoea.
Some of the stuff was put over incredibly well, I felt.
And get treated with less respect than prisoners. And again, last time I used to perform at showcases were all like comedy pieces. So it's the first like extremely dark piece I did. I directed it at somebody on the front row, yeah, and I could see them crying. Because as it was hitting them, it was hitting everybody else out. Yeah, so I just kept directing lines at them and I felt really bad later on. But then I thought, why I'm feeling bad? It got across what I wanted it to get across.
Yeah. And pull the trigger in front of my classmates. And then I will know I have ruined their lives.
I don't think mine was as funny as everyone made it out to be. However, I think it was the contrast.
She's very close.
3, 2, 1, and she's gone.
I was laughing, and then the audience started laughing at me.
Oh my god, stop.
I was there. I could only take like 5 minutes just to sort of compose myself. And now he even said he was like, I could tell he wasn't your boyfriend because he wasn't scared off. I was like, oh, thanks, Dad.
Protected us from the outside world.
It's been a while since I last performed, so it was nerve-wracking, but we had really good material to work with, so hats off to the writers and everybody who submitted.
It's only until the chord I named upon to the stage I was like, get rid of nervous. Human graffiti. It's different to put on a voice as well, because like I've never done any voice work like that.
You can hardly expect Charlie to be Einstein with your background. My past doesn't define me, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Somehow, hope finds you in places you least expect, even in Bolton.
That is the end of this year's New Writing Showcase 2018. I would like to give a big thank you to the following people.
It was slightly chaotic.
The performances were very well received on the night.
It was a really warm and supportive and encouraging environment, I would say.
It's fantastic.
The atmosphere was pretty good, to be fair.
People wanted to come and see us do these scripts.
People seemed invested and interested.
I really don't think the night could have gone any better.
I feel like we achieved something memorable and something cool.
The performances ran smoothly. We got a lot of really good feedback from the head of the department as well.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
We sold a lot of copies of the review as well.
The review sold like hotcakes.
I felt privileged being on the New Writing Showcase team 2018.
It was getting to perform new writing that had never been performed before. It's only been written by students as well.
It's a really, really good advert for the quality of the writing at the university.
I found it actually to be a really valuable experience.
I learned a lot from this.
There was a lot of lack of sleep and stressful evenings, but it's fun when you then see the end product and realise, hey, I spent 3 months of my life working on that, so it was really worth it.
Yeah, it's a big relief now that it's over. Plus also a little sad because we've built up a good team morale.
After it ended, I feel like I was just like, oh.
I was a bit sad, but yeah, I was kind of proud as well.
I do encourage the next year's students to definitely get involved in the New Writing Showcase.
I also feel positive about giving next year's New Writing Showcase team a bit of advice. Yeah, just really take the opportunity to like mix with other people in other parts of the uni, because like you meet such nice people, and being able to all input on the same project, it's just a massive feeling of you have like a sense of pride in it at the end.
Definitely do something like that again.
If the opportunity came up to do it again next year, I'd jump at the chance.
I'd definitely do something like that again.
I'd definitely do it again.
And I hope that everyone likes issue 6, Hard Liquor and Paddling Pools of the Bolton Review. Buy a copy, buy 4 copies, please help us.
Get paid next time.
Payments? No, maybe for your food, for your wine.
What's free food and free wine?